Hello everyone and now welcome to a game. Ling versus Tho, this game taking place here on Northern Isle. Tho spawning as the yellow human player on the bottom left hand side of the map. Did you find it? Okay. On the bottom left hand side of the map. Meanwhile, on the top right, we have 120 spawning under the name Orange on the top right. We'll see what goes down in this human versus undead matchup here on the cold island of Northern Isles. I'm assuming it's somewhere here in Northrend as this game does, well, get started. Now, Ultra of Darkness, human versus undead, this matchup really needs no explanation. It feels like it is a matchup we see very, very often. Not because it's played more, but because I think of how the game plays out. We just have seen how often Undead is able to really control the tempoing and pacing of this matchup. Undead using that Death Knight, that Lich, and the Dark Ranger or some third hero being able to apply large amounts of spell damage to enemy units. Casters have always been a part of the human repertoire in terms of their army, but because of that long distance range of that Death Coil and Frost Nova, those casters, priests, and sorceresses became a bit of a liability. Human players then were able to transition into a strategy using riflemen, knights, and flying machines to try and put in a little bit of defense against those crypt fiends and those destroyers. And then try and use the Staff of Sanctuary to be able to control and heal up some of those units as well. Anyways, Archmage now making their rounds here, going to go after this Ogre Magi creep camp. This is a 5-4-4 creep camp, giving level 2 to the Archmage easily. Off to the north side, we are actually looking at a Lich first coming in from 120. This has become a bit more common as of late, as the Lich gets Dark Ritual as a second ability and uses that Rod of Necromancy summons to constantly replenish his unit, his mana. All right, Footman right across over here. Acolyte is standing on Blight, and I think because that Acolyte is on a Blight, he is going to be able to have plenty of hit points here, trying to finish things off. All right, Acolyte trying to back away here. A second Acolyte making its way in. We're going to see their Ice Troll Priest now get taken down, and now this Footman could have a very, very bad day if he is not careful. No Frost Nova. Instead, using that Dark Ritual to get back up to 200 or nearly 300 mana. Lich first with a Dark Ritual as expected here. Meanwhile, where is that Lich trying to go next to perhaps get a bit more experience? Off to the north, well, Acolyte needs to try and run away from this Footman. What is going on? This Acolyte had plenty of opportunities to heal while on Blight. He is now down to 23 hit points and now trying to head back here, but there are ghouls to offer in a bit of support. All right, with this Acolyte now wandering around here, one Acolyte could actually move off by 120, and then this Acolyte could just kind of like teleport across this location as the Acolyte's still wandering back again, up to 44 hit points, and that Footman still giving chase. Meanwhile, down to the south, Lich looking to pick off some units. You can see an expansion is currently trying to be established. Are we going to see a big Frost Nova? No, we are not. I thought we would see a Frost Nova on these tightly grouped units as Footmen are now trying to engage here. All right, we should see a Frost Nova there. A nice big Icy Blast to slow down these remaining units as well. Lich already up to 2.5, trying to finish off more units, but Militia now being called over to stop this harassment. Now, more damage still getting racked up here. Low hit point Ghoul down to 23 hit points. It is going to be able to get away. And one Ghoul, however, not going to be so lucky. It gets Dark Ritualed, or no, Sacrificial, or Ritual Dagger? Yeah, I think that was a Ritual Dagger instead. And now getting healed up. The Lich now does need to retreat back. That Ring of Regeneration actually providing a decent amount of hit points, surprisingly. Back up to 450 already on top of that Ritual Dagger again. Normally, the Lich does not have access to early healing without that Death Knight. This Ring of Regeneration actually coming as a bit of a blessing here being able to heal up an additional 120 hit points per second during this early stage. That is a big difference indeed, as you could imagine what that Lich would look like if it was down to 350 hit points. Coming back around, Archmage now trying to retreat back, does have a potion of invulnerability as the Lich now tries to test the waters here at this gold mine. Not going to be able to do so well. That water elemental at level 2 does do high piercing damage, and these ghouls just don't have, well, the hit points to absorb all of that piercing damage. Coming through, large number of ghouls. Tech to tier 2 is now getting started. Haunted Goldmine is done. We're getting up on Necropolis as well. Both sides having access to that additional gold mine is going to be key. Lich, whether or not he's going to be able to get more enough damage onto that Archmage and perhaps burst it down, that is going to be key here. Lich does have Boots of Speed. He's going to be able to chase fairly well, and now picking up Gauntlets of Ogre Strength +3. Downside, with no Rod of Necromancy, has no way of being able to has no way of getting that extra bit of additional mana through that Dark Ritual. Going to go ahead and pick up a Rod of Necromancy, most likely, as now going after the Archmage. Archmage quickly uses that potion of invulnerability. It is 15 seconds long, and it should work out well. Meanwhile, Lich, during this time, is getting as much mana as possible, ready to throw down a Frost Nova when the time comes. One Acolyte does get taken down, as more ghouls are just trying to retreat back here. Even though they are on Blight, they are getting picked off slowly but surely, as another Acolyte going to get taken down. This Necropolis is not yet running, and this Necropolis here is still upgrading as well. So every Acolyte lost is a big loss indeed. As the units are still trying to retreat back here, this Acolyte down to 84 hit points, trying to run back the other way, may accidentally run into the sword of a unit there, as level 3 does reach that Lich. All right, another Footman going to get taken down there, and now a level 3 Lich with level 2 Frost Nova could change the direction. A nice power shift right there, as the Archmage has to consider his options before venturing out. We are still at Town Hall, but we are upgrading to keep at the Expo. This is a strategy by human players because you can no longer call to arms at your Expo Town Hall. By upgrading this location instead, you have the ability to call to arms at this base as well, and thereby are able to protect it from those attacks. All right, getting ready for that engagement. Lich coming across here. Archmage could easily just open up with the Frost Nova onto the Archmage, or Lich could have done that there. Instead, it doesn't do that. Going to go ahead and Frost Nova down a Footman, and now perhaps be able to finish off a couple more Footmen again. All right, bunch of low hit point units. 1 or 2 more shots. No, instead going after the Water Elemental. I'm a bit curious about that. Not quite sure what that was about. It feels like Tho had a number of low hit point units that he just kind of let slip away. Coming back around now, Lich now low on mana after all of those Frost Novas that really didn't get the kills that I was expecting. All right, Dark Ritual perhaps on a Skeletal Minion, yeah, getting a little bit more mana again, back up to 153. Death Knight should be getting trained up nearly out on the battlefield, as well as this Water Elemental down to 86 hit points. Two more shots, one more shot, one more shot will do it there, as the Lich now halfway to level 4. All right, more damage still getting racked up, getting added in. Archmage trying to find the low hit point ghouls and pick them off mid-fight, as another Skeletal Minion going to get taken down here. Dark Ritual is available. Death Knight now showing up. There goes a Frost Nova onto the Archmage. Archmage could be in a little bit of trouble. Has to be careful as well, as the Death Knight could try and, Death Coil adding a little bit more damage again. Skeletal Minions still all across the battlefield. We should be looking at more Dark Rituals pumping up that mana. As the tech to tier 3 for Undead getting completed, we are looking at some Obsidian statues and perhaps eventually some Destroyers. Archmage or Archmage Illusion shows up to the party here, just doing a little bit of disruption, while the Mountain King, Footman, and Rifleman now trying to put in a pressure here. Are we going to see some easy pick-off kills here? This illusion is should be recognized as an illusion, as the units are trying to back up again. Mountain King may try to get a good Stormbolt off on the Death Knight, but with a Potion of Invul and that Death Knight being so close nearby, that Lich should not be in danger of getting shut down just quite yet. All right. 57 supply going up against 48. Archmage getting ready to lead the charge here. A couple of gnolls trying to make their way back across. Death Knight pushing. Well, where's the Lich? The Lich, it really needs to be back here. Lich perhaps, yeah, picking up that Orb of Corruption now. And now that we are at tier 3, going to be able to remove some of that precious armor. Crypt Fiend's going to try and do a little bit of poking. There's a Death Knight stun as the Mountain King gets the final shot there. Meanwhile, Crypt Fiend's looking to finish off some more of these units. There goes some easy kills. And now going to perhaps try and focus now on these Water Elementals who now have negative armor and will be taking additional damage too. 57 supply compared to 60. Both sides sitting on 2 bases. Lich sitting at level 3, opting to go after this Ice Troll Warlord creep camp as, well, Tho decides to retreat back. We are now already at Castle here at this expo location, and there's only about 11 minutes of mining at the main base and the expo. These expo locations here on Northern Isle don't have that much gold, so you often run out of gold around the 18-minute mark or 15 to 18-minute mark of this game. All right, or not 18 or 21-minute mark. Sorry, math was wrong. Coming back through, Pit Lord comes in with Rain of Fire, looking to finish off all of these towers here. Doesn't look like it's going to have enough mana for a follow-up here, as the Paladin is going to be the third and final hero. Big Frost Nova, Book of the Dead now being used as well, trying to create a little bit of traffic on the bases, making it difficult for units to try and retreat back out. All right, Archmage does have an Orb of Fire, trying to pick off some of these units, as Militia is now being called over from the main base still, as massive repairs are underway. All right. One tower now down. Cannon Tower, however, does have fortified armor. Going to be significantly more difficult to finish off as the Mountain King dives on in with a Stormbolt, now trying to back away. He does get Bash as that second ability over Thunderclap, as now gets a Death Coil again. Mountain King down to 100 hit points. Staff of Sanctuary for the save, as Militia now trying to push back the other way. Obsidian Statues need to get into that backfield again. A big Frost Nova across a bunch of peasants, but doesn't really kill anything there, as the Lich still needs a bit more mana. 62 supply compared to 56. Another Holy Light for the save, as there are just so many water elementals out on the battlefield, making it difficult to, well, stick around this fight. Obsidian Statues need to try and retreat back. Knights are also getting in a little bit of body blocking as well, as the Obsidian Statue, down to 71 hit points, is still retreating away. That Knight should be able to chase it down with no real problem, as the undead tri-hero units don't have an easy way of getting out with no Scroll of Town Portal. Unit after unit is starting to fall. Paladin now trying to get away. There's a Frost Nova, and the Death Knight should be able to finish that off there, sitting at 2.5. Paladin falls at level 1. Obsidian Statues and Crypt Fiends are getting taken down, and both sides suffering some heavy casualties. All right, Flying Machines testing the skies here, having nothing really to attack. Knights now joining in on the battlefield, leading the charge here. Mountain King getting healed back up. Staff of Sanctuary constantly, well, constantly saving low hit point in danger units, as they get low on hit points there, are sent back home and will be recharged, ready to go. All right, Death Coil on a Crypt Fiend. Crypt Fiend trying to stay alive. Doesn't look like it will be able to do that, though. A couple of easiest strikes right there, as this Obsidian Statue could get taken down as well. 68 supply compared to 58. Bloodbath on both sides. Both sides taking heavy losses, as this Crypt Fiend gets a Death Coil at just the right moment to try and stay alive. The Water Elementals could get in a little bit more damage as well, as the Knights are just trying to focus down onto those units. That Knight is single-minded in its focus to try and take down these Crypt Fiends one at a time, and both were finished. Lich down to 60 hit points, could be in a little bit of trouble. Death Coil does for the save. Mountain King falls at level 2. Paladin out on the battlefield, able to heal up the Archmage, as this fight is just going crazy. So much individual micro across these units. If you guys are not noticing, separate Knights are actually diving onto separate individual units while the Archmage is dodging damage as well. Both sides are playing a very intensive micro match. And right now, Egg, or Samdan, Tho, has the lead, 66 supply compared to 52. That was a crazy battle and engagement lasting north of, I would say, 4 minutes, going back and forth. At the start, a bunch of heroes were taken out. We're going to be seeing level 3 Death Knight now, which will overcome some of that Orb of Fire disadvantage that the Archmage has been applying. Healing less than 200 hit points with the Death Coil just seems as a bit of a shock sometimes. Coming back through, we are looking at Knights and Flying Machines. Flying Machines off overhead, waiting for perhaps a transition to Destroyers, as the Pit Lord raining down a fire across all these units here. Guard Tower taking a little bit of damage here. Crypt Fiends, level 3 now on the Mountain King. We could be looking at a couple of Stormbolts here in just a moment. There's Rain of Fire. No Stormbolt onto any of those units, as we see another Staff of Sanctuary. Pit Lord down to 500 hit points after a Death Coil, and he gets taken down still. Lich continuing to fire back around here, as there's a lot of low hit point units that could be easily taken out. Another Staff of Sanctuary, so dual Staff of Sanctuary is working well for the human army, as ghouls are getting picked apart again. There's a Death Coil to save a Crypt Fiend. Big Frost Nova to blast down some Knights, as the Lich is trying to get to level 5 to start really bursting down these low hit point units. Staff of Sanctuaries are on cooldown. There goes another Knight right there. Some big damage indeed, but that Knight was off by himself in the wings, as we see another Knight could get taken down. Death Coil, wow, yes, Obsidian Statues attacks enough to finish off the Knight there, so that Knight returning the favor. Both sides still fighting through. Are we going to see more damage? Lich has plenty of mana. There's a Death Coil. There's a Holy Light. No, sorry, that was a Frost Nova Holy Light. No Death Coil to follow things up. There goes a Crypt Fiend, followed by another Staff of Sanctuary. That Staff of Sanctuary 1 minute cooldown, being spread across 2 Staff of Sanctuaries, really saving many of those units. Back here, oh wait, the castle is here. So yeah, the castle is right there. So that's actually a little bit of an interesting predicament. If you're trying to defend your expo and you Staff of Sanctuary, well, the unit is probably perhaps just stuck right in the middle of the battle still. Multiple water elementals out here on the battlefield still. We're looking at perhaps water elementals going to get cleaned up, getting a little bit more of additional experience by finishing them off. Death Knight not wanting to waste that mana to get that little bit of experience. As we can see, the cannon tower is right there. Oh, the Mountain King, Staff of Sanctuary, he's in a very tough spot. As I mentioned earlier, this is something that I had not considered when building your castle at your expo location. You're in a much more forward position than your own base. So Staff of Sanctuary doesn't save your units nearly enough. Now, the Pit Lord could try and Rain of Fire right here and could catch some of these units all off guard. Are we going to see a Death Coil onto that Knight? No, another Staff of Sanctuary, and this is just begging to be cleaned up here. There's a big Frost Nova. Paladin could get taken down. Yeah, Paladin now taken out here. You can see a bunch of units off to the side, still out of commission, as the Mountain King is going to be finally joining in on that fight. 1150 hit points ready to go. There's a new Staff of Sanctuary, as well as another water elemental gets taken down. Pit Lord, is he going to try and Rain of Fire here? Crypt Fiends are getting taken out here easily, as well as the Archmage's Orb of Fire coupled with the Mountain King Stormbolt dealing quite a bit of damage. Backing up again, Pit Lord looking to finish off things again, as the Knights are trying to join in on the battle once more. All right, are we looking at Cleave? Yes, we are. Cleave should be able to slice and dice some of these peasants here, as the Lich able to back away just in time. Now back up to a decent amount of hit points, and now getting up to level 5. Level 5 on that Lich could be a big deal. Death Knight now down to 183 hit points. He needs to find a way to heal back up, as the Lich does have level 3 Frost Nova and should be able to get off a big Frost Nova right there, trying to take down another Knight. Knight. Staff of Sanctuary resets that all again as the Lich is currently low on hit points and stunned. Death Knight comes across with the Death Coil, but Orb of Fire removing some of that healing as well. Death Knight now needs to retreat back here. 59 supply compared to 63. This fight is still raging on as the Death Knight and the Pit Lord has just been shy of level 3 for so long. We've seen Staff of Sanctuaries being used so consistently, finally getting up to level 3 there as 3 Staff of Sanctuaries not enough to stop the damage from this undead army. All right. Obsidian statue trying to run away from this water elemental. Water elemental coming back across here. Are we going to see this knight get taken down? There's a death coil to save the Lich over finishing off the Death Knight. Perhaps the Archmage was nearby ready to Staff of Sanctuary. Yes, it was, just in case the time came. All right, are we going to look at a Frost Nova? Are we going to see that Knight get taken down anyways? Yes, it is. More Rain of Fire coming back across. Knights are absorbing damage as there is still, well, quite a bit of cooldown ready to go. More damage adding up. Crypt Fiend's trying to focus down some units. That Knight is just begging to be staffed or focused as there goes another Dark Ritual again. There goes another Frost Nova. Level 5 Lich has just been absolutely, well, freezing every unit in its tracks as units are still trying to retreat back. There's another Staff of Sanctuary again. Death Knight ends up getting the Death Coil off on the Archmage, and now without the Archmage's Brilliance Aura, we may not see the Mountain King have enough to constantly try and throw out those Storm Bolts. On top of that, there is no more Orb of Fire to try and do a bit of disruption there. All right, Pit Lord raining down fire here and dealing damage to peasants as the Archmage was, well, hired back up at the tavern. Pit Lord could be in a little bit of trouble. Needs to back away. Death Knight does have Death Coil. But is there a Death Coil with a Pit Lord's name on it? Yes, there was, but so was a Stormbolt as the Pit Lord still gets taken down. Level 3 on the Paladin. More Staff of Sanctuary saving up that Mountain King. He will be out of commission for a little bit of time as the Abominations join in on the battlefield to spread that disease cloud. Another Frost Nova coming across here. Lich still has plenty of mana. Another Knight gets taken down. Death Knight sitting at level 4, getting close to level 5 as the Crypt Fiends are trying to get a little bit of separation from these Knights here. No Death Coil. Are we going to see a Death Coil here? No, Frost Nova slowing things down as another Crypt Fiend could get taken down here. Archmage trying to go after this Crypt Fiend. Knight finds its target. And we're at 63 supply compared to 63. Water Elemental, this one down to 8 hit points. One just accidental attack should finish things off. Obsidian Statue and Water Elemental is getting finished off here as another Knight trying to back away again. Lich currently low on mana. What is it going to be able to do? Perhaps start Dark Ritualing up some of these other Crypt Fiends, right? Some of these other Crypt Fiends here. Or even the Abomination, if it really wants to get in more Frost Novas again. Death Knight sitting at level 4, gets Storm Bolted, has a Potion of Lesser Invulnerability, shouldn't be that much in danger. Meanwhile, low hit point Water Elemental is going to get turned into a puddle here in just a second as the Obsidian Statues and Abominations are trying to hold the line. Knights are able to charge on in. There's a big Frost Nova, but that leading Knight was not slowed down as the Death Knight now retreats back with all of these units. 60 supply compared to 71. Both sides have been exchanging blows back and forth. Water Elemental could easily get finished off. There's a Frost Nova onto a Knight, splash damage, causing that, well, Water Elemental to be taken down. Death Coil onto the Abomination. Abomination with that Orb of Fire debuff, difficult to try and stay alive as the Dark Ritual of the Lich unable to overcome the Staff of Sanctuary of all of these tri-human heroes. Mountain King now back out on the battlefield after getting healed back up. Does have a bit of, well, a bit of a vengeance streak in him as the Knights are pushing back the other way. Knights charging in hard. Pit Lord trying to find a way to fight back on a Blight here as we see another Crypt Fiend get taken down. Acolytes joining in on the fight here, trying to, well, do a little bit of healing or repairs on some of these Obsidian Statues, or just trying to get in the way as we see another Crypt Fiend fall. All right, battle is still raging on here. Another beautiful Staff of Sanctuary saving up those Knights, and I don't know if 120 can really overcome this. It feels like 120 is now definitely up against the wall here. The Staff of Sanctuary, not only are you saving Knight, you're buying yourself time and you're denying experience on the undead. If I told you that the undead army did more damage in this game, I think that would definitely be the case. The undead has done more damage. It is just that the human army has constantly just healed up more of that damage with Staff of Sanctuaries. You can take a look at this. There is 5 knights back at this castle here at the expo. There no more gold being mined out. 68 supply compared to 80 compared to 42 as 120's Nerubian Haunted Gold Mine and Nerubian Tower getting unsummoned. 120 may be going into a last-ditch all-in, trying to train up units, as no one has had time to clear out that third base and build up that second and final expo. Flying Machine down to 187 hit points. Is it going to end up being saved? No, it gets taken down. Archmage gets up to level 6. That's going to be open for mass teleport. Lich is now caught out in the open field. Death Knight not able to transfer over that potion of lesser invulnerability, and an anticlimactic end to a beautiful game. But in the end, had too big of an advantage, just too large of an advantage there, able to stick around and save all of those units with that Staff of Sanctuary. You saw 5 knights just hanging back at home, getting healed back up. I really feel undead did more damage, but there is no metric to actually see how much hit points were healed. And every time a Staff of Sanctuary was used on the Mountain King, the Paladin, or a Knight, I gotta believe about 800 hit points or more were healed. And it seemed like it was about 3 a minute. Let me know what you guys thought about this game in the comments below.